Hello, Windward, and welcome to the Pencils Down podcast. In service of our mission to remediate our students' language-based learning disabilities, we take every instructional moment seriously, and we work to be intentional in everything that we do. This podcast is an opportunity for Jamie Williamson, our head of school, to have an informal series of unscripted conversations with different members of our community about who they are, what they care about, and what the Windward School means to them. And so, we're putting our pencils down, we're closing up our computers, and we're looking forward to sharing with you another conversation today.
Well, first off, I just want to say an absolute really big welcome here. So it's been an interesting week. We started the week off with Dr. Mott and I taking a big ride up to Albany to advocate on behalf of Windward for students across the great state of New York. Had a chance to meet with a bunch of legislators on Wednesday and share some of the stories of our students and families. And I think a really nice way to kind of cap my week off, if I could be honest, is to have a really great conversation with the two of you. So I am joined here today by our two Manhattan co-presidents, our president and our vice president. And I don't want to sort of steal anybody's thunder because I really want to give you two a chance to kind of share your story today. We're going to spend a little time talking about student council, and even towards the end, we're going to allow you to give a little advice to a future Windward student, maybe, or a little you sitting in a chair, in a few years from now. So why don't we start off with you, Jesse?
Okay.
Talk a little bit about your journey before you got to Windward.
I went to a Manhattan public school, on the Upper East Side. It was tough because there was a lot of support, and there was 40 kids in each class, and the teacher didn't really notice me a lot, so I
40
struggled.
kids.
Yeah.
That seems like a massive class.
Yeah, so I struggled in my reading and writing, and Windward's helped a lot with that.
Yeah, outstanding.
Yeah.
So we're glad you're here. And you came in what grade did you come in?
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
Yes.
So yeah, great for 4 years of really great work here. Got to do a little math on my part here. So Sophia, would you share a little about your journey before you got to Windward?
Yeah, I used to go to Nest+M. And it was really hard in that school. It was very advanced, and the reading and writing especially was very hard, and even the math was super challenging. And we would be 30 to 35 in a class with one or two teachers who can't always be on top of you. So coming to Windward really helped with the support, and it just helped me so much to become a better reader and writer.
Yeah. So, one I love, and up in Albany this week, we had so many kids doing little testimonials, and next year I feel like we've got to get our ninth grade and maybe some of our eighth graders up there with us. Yeah. It was really a beautiful moment. We heard, some kids talking about a few of the schools that were serving them, like, Windward or some of the other schools in the city here. But I'm guessing that as you sort of reflect on your journey here and the work that's happened in the class work you've done, and I would say the effort that you've put in, right? Because I think that's the thing. I think our teachers do such an amazing job supporting you all, creating an environment in a classroom where you feel seen, where you feel heard, where you feel supported. But I got to be honest, there's one person in this whole equation who has to put the work in. And that person, unfortunately, sometimes is you, right? Yeah. So we can do all this work. We can help and structure all this. But you are the one, and I just don't want the two of you to ever forget this. You are the people who've shown up and actually put in some really amazing effort. Everything that you have done to drive your change, I hope at the end of the day or when you walk across the stage in a few weeks for the eighth grade graduation, that you feel so proud of what you've done here. Because to be quite frank, it's pretty impressive, right? In just a short period of time, you guys have done some amazing things. But as you personally reflect a little bit, is there one thing that you're I see myself having grown in this way during my time at Windward?
I think especially in writing, because at my old school, we didn't have MPOs, and I was really unsure on how to write an essay. But now I have so many strategies, whether it's writing my thesis statement at the end, in the conclusion, introduction format, and having the triangle format for that, and then also having the MPO and having people who can support you and teaching you all the strategies of how to write it.
Yeah. I love that you reference you did such a great job of rattling off some really amazing strategies that we use. We had a young lady who was here. It was a college, I think she was a junior in college, and she was talking about how she was in her composition class her junior year and was absolutely crushing it. And her classmates were like, You're the dyslexic in class here, and you are absolutely destroying this writing class. What are you doing differently? And what did she pull out? the MPO.
Yeah.
And
The
she
graphic
shared it. Yeah.
organizer.
And showed them what she was doing to organize her writing and all the strategies and skills that she learned here at Windward. And so she held like a little study session on that, and really got to share that with a lot of other kids. So I'm so glad you referenced that, because I do think our writing program here gives kids a chance to find their voice and the structure with which to do that. So well done, Sophia. Well done. Jesse, I'd love to hear a little bit about you and sort of what you have done or what you've seen, kind of the change that you've seen in yourself since you've been here.
I agree with Sophia a lot with the writing, but then also the reading has got much easier because like we have skills like tracking, which helps a lot. And in 8th grade, we annotate a lot, which helps like understand the book.
Yeah.
Compared to like just like reading it, and you like this school helps put the time into like really thinking about what's happening in the book instead of just like trying to finish the book. And I enjoy that very much.
And I think that you actually touched down on a really important point there, and maybe I'll even pull two up here. One is, it's not about finishing the book, right? It's actually about understanding the book. And I love annotating in my book. I've been writing in my book since I was like a little kid. Like, I just love, like, you get an idea or question mark or you underline something, and I would do what I was call these little sunshine kiwi things, like a little spiral.
Oh, yeah.
When it's like a really cool idea that I don't want to forget, I do that. And then I'll write in the margins about like, what was she thinking? Why did she do this? Like reflecting on questions, trying to kind of externalize my thinking as much as I can. So that way I have a clearer process on what, maybe the characters were thinking, or really kind of breaking that down. But I so love that you pulled those 2 points up, because that is the joy of reading. Is not about finishing the book. It's really about understanding what the author was trying to communicate.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite book?
I like To Kill a Mockingbird this year. It's
That's
a great
such...
book. Yeah.
Oh, such a great book. One of my all-time favorites. I've probably read that book 6 to 8 times, because every few years I'm like, I need to read this again. Because every time I read it, there's like a little layer that I dig into just a little bit deeper. But it's such a wonderful story.
Yes.
So I'm glad you had a chance to read that. So, Sophia, you are our president of the student council. Jesse is a vice president. I would love to hear a little bit about what the two of you are working on in the context of your student council work. Jesse, do you want to start off?
We're working on many things, but like an example of what we've done so far, like we advocated for like the 7th graders in our like team, kind of. And like we got them like study hall, because they were like had trouble like finishing their homework before school the next day. So we thought like giving them a time to be able to get their homework done would help.
Outstanding.
And they were like wanted to do it, so we wanted to help them.
Yeah. I think it's a great thing to have advocated for your fellow classmates on that. So, So Sophia, anything that you, from your vantage point as president, that's been a real big priority for you this year as you've done your work?
I think this year we really focused on giving to organizations that need our help, and we've been very fortunate. We've hosted many bake sales and fundraising, and we were lucky enough to raise enough money, and we got so many supplies, and we made goodie bags for them, and it was such an honor to do that.
I love that. And I do. I'm really actually deeply appreciative of the work that our student council and I would say our Parents Association have done to kind of bring in more community-oriented service projects. We'd done last fall a grassroots grocery. There was a volunteer effort that organized by the WPA. We had a lot of families there. It was one of my favorite Saturdays last fall, to be quite honest. It was like a really sunny but like crisp kind of cool day, kind of sweatshirt weather, which I always enjoy. We had a lot of families out there. We were sorting some produce and like making like little bags for families, and it was such a great day. And I think they're doing another one this weekend. And I may go out on Saturday and bag up some groceries. I'm really excited about that. So thank you for one, advocating for your fellow students and advocating for 7th graders, but 2, also thinking about how do we expand this work in our community and actually give back. We do, and I think it's a big part of who we are as a school, is not only do we want to make sure that we're actually doing the great work and teaching kids how to read and how to be good mathematicians and how to become good writers and find their voice and find their confidence in that work, but we know that there are so many more kids out in the world who need our help, which is why I do things like popping up to Albany or meeting with the DOE, the New York City DOE, or working with school districts up in Westchester to make sure that those schools get a chance to really have access to good translational science when it comes to the science of reading and the science of writing and the science of mathematics and like teacher training. So that idea for me is actually about serving our community in a bigger way. And we are really lucky. We've got an amazing program. We do really good work, and I want to make sure that we also don't forget that there's more to our community in terms of sometimes food scarcity or school supplies or finding places that need clean water. And I do think there's a lot of really good that comes from that. So thank you both for your efforts to really deepen our sort of appreciation of community service during your time here. So this time of year, you're coming you're both in your 8th grade year. We've got 4 years of Windward. We've got 3 years of Windward. You two have dramatically, in my opinion, just grown and sort of shifted and changed during your time here in the best of ways, right? I see the two of you leaving us in such a strong space. So as you think about reflecting back on your time here at Windward, my guess is you have 1 or 2 things that are this was my favorite memory from Windward, that I'm going to carry this. One of those, not to quote a kind of an inside out, piece, but it's a core memory, right? Something that's just part of who you are now. So I don't know, Sophia, do you want to tee us up with a favorite Windward memory?
I actually have 2. I think field day at Windward is very special.
It is.
Especially since everybody goes all out, even the teachers do. And we're all competing, and it's so fun. And I remember last year I won, so it was a big moment, and I loved it. I love seeing all the dances we do and all the cheers. It's just such a special time.
It is.
And then also one of my favorite memories is winning the volleyball championships this year. Volleyball has never won a championship, and it was an honor to win it this year, especially since it was my last year. And everybody was so relieved because we lost last year by 2 points, which was devastating. But we tried again. We tried harder. We practiced every day harder, and we got it. So it's very special having a banner in the gym now.
I love that. And I tell you, we're going to take a little detour here for a second, because I want to really touch down on something that you just said. Our sports program. So we actually interviewed for our last one. We had Mr. Smith and Miss Hunt, who's up in Westchester, our athletic directors, sharing a bit about our athletics program. And the way I think we show up in the athletic space is really about growing kids, not saying you're really good at this or you're not good at that, but really saying, oh, here's where you are. Let's get you to be a little better. Here's the skills that you need. And I have watched our athletics program, especially here in Manhattan, just thrive under that. Yeah. Our coaches are incredible, and I think they bring out the best in kids. They really help you show up and bring your best dedication and that commitment and the structure and the skill focus. Congratulations. I am so proud of our girls basketball team. I love the fact that we've put a banner up there. We have several banners down there now, which is just amazing. Watching our girls basketball win the championship, watching our boys basketball win the championship, watching, up in Westchester, we had a girls lacrosse team. The first year they showed up on the scene, had an undefeated season. We have to acknowledge the fact that we have grown into a little bit of an athletic space. And I am just super proud of you all for that. So thank you for everything that you bring to that conversation, because it's not easy to kind of balance schoolwork and athletic sort of, space. But I think you guys do it so well. And your coaching staff, I know, is deeply proud of you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Jesse? I'm sure you've got a favorite memory lurking in there.
I also have 2.
Okay, let's hear it.
My first day at Windward was great. Everyone had open arms, and I made friends the second I got in.
Yeah.
Because everyone was so welcoming, and I shared hobbies with some people.
Yeah.
And it was just such a good feeling just going into a new environment and being welcome.
That's outstanding. Thank you for sharing that. So you said did another one too.
Yeah. My second one is winning the soccer championship. Also similar to Sophia in 7th grade, because we worked so hard.
Yeah.
And in the final we went down a goal, but we still pushed through it and came back. And
nice.
It was just the celebration was impeccable.
Yeah. I feel like we can say this. Windward's a little bit of an athletic powerhouse here in the city, right? We're forced to be reckoned with. And I am just deeply proud of that. So I love that. And I just also want to take a moment to highlight, as an educator, there's a few days of school that I just get so excited for. First day of school, hands down. I think that it's hard to be in education and not love the first day of school. And here's why. Because I remember, I know you're looking at me saying, this dude is really old, and he's no way he remembers his first days of school from elementary school, but I got to tell you, I do. And every year I tried to come in with the most optimistic sort of like positive slant on this is the year. Didn't always work out that way. And I talk about this pretty openly. Like, I did not like school. I wish I did. And the fact that I work in a school sometimes kind of surprises me and and some people I knew growing up. But I didn't love school, because I wasn't in a space where I felt like teachers saw me and kind of like sort of recognized the potential I had or were super supportive. So sometimes I feel like I succeeded in spite of school, which is one of the reasons I came back into a school, because I didn't want any kid who was ever in front of me to feel the way I felt when I was a child. But I still have, even through all of that challenge and that strife, like, I still feel like the love of the first day. I still feel that optimism I felt when I was a kid. And it's really a beautiful thing. And I do think that our first days here are so special. Our teachers, I'm sure you assume that they've done something before the first day of school to get ready for you all, right? Because your names are on the bugs or on the things on the door. They've got your name on the desk, and they've got all your supplies set up and everything ready for you. So you conceptually, I understand, they do some work before you get there. But I have to tell you, they are so committed to making sure that your entry into this program, and especially for new kids or for returning kids, is nothing but exceptional and positive, because they want to know you. And we talk about this coming into the school year. Like, when I'm interviewing teachers, one of the things I talk about is, what do you love about working in a school? And I'm listening for things like, I want to get to know kids. I want to understand who they are. I want to know what they enjoy, what kind of hobbies they have, what do they like to read. Like, the level of curiosity that the people in this building who work and support you every day have in your lives, and the interest they have in you being successful, is really incredible. And I think the first day, that's what I feel in that. My second favorite day, I've got to tell you, is graduation. Like, watching you all walk across the stage and get that diploma. I'm like high-fiving kids. Like, there is no one up there whose hearts aren't like swelling with pride for all of you. And I would say the same for everybody in that audience, because they know that you have put in some incredibly hard work, and they know that you've had some incredible growth since you've been here. So as we kind of, cap out, the conversation today, I just so appreciate the two of you being here with me today. I know it's not easy to come into a room, have a camera set up, have two microphones on booms, we're swinging back and forth here, and have the head of school ask you some really hard, deep questions, right? Some good journalistic questions. I like to think the questions weren't that hard, but but it is. Like, to come in and share your story is never an easy thing to do. And I just want to say how much I appreciate your courage today, the professionalism that you've shown up with, the maturity that you're showing up with here today. And I just really want to say thank you for that. Every year we bring in about 250 to 270 brand new Windward kids, right? Which is it's a lot. So we think we're almost 1,000. So every year, a quarter of our families are brand new. And sometimes families in the process of making the decision are weighing so many stressful sort of thoughts in their head. Like, will my child make friends? Will the teachers that love and appreciate them? Will they actually have the growth that Windward said they're going to have? And I think that there are kids, and Jesse, I so appreciate your optimism on the first day. Like, this is going to be a great experience, and thinking about that. But there are a lot of kids who show up who are a little bit scared, and they loved their last school, even though they may have not liked the work that was happening, or they could feel they weren't progressing. But they also felt like, well, I had friends, and this is what I know, and it's hard to change all that.
Yeah.
So if you could give one piece of advice to your sort of, fifth grade, fourth grade self coming into here, what would that piece of advice been?
Probably, like, even though, like, some strategies may seem like time consuming, in the long term they're really helpful, and like, they help you like get better grades or just progress as like a student. So that's my advice.
And that's gold right there. Because, I think when folks first get here, sometimes people think, well, is this strategy a punishment? Like, do I have to do even more stuff to get to the answer, or to get the outcome that I need here? But that strategy actually long-term provides such a great structure for you, and seeing it as not like this burden that you have to carry, but this tool that you get to access and use that, to be quite frank, a lot of your other friends that you're going to meet out in high school won't have. The feedback we get from schools is that they would take a classroom full of Windward kids because of how strategic they are, how self-advocating they are, how like good of a student they are, and like how they show up prepared and they're ready to go. So I think that idea, I just so appreciate you sharing that, because I think that's a wonderful thing for kids to highlight in this process. Sophia, our student council president here, let's drop some wisdom on us.
I do think coming in, I was very nervous, but I made friends the first minute I stepped into the hallway, came up the stairs, and there was just 5 people already approaching me, wanting to know who I am. And I just made friends like that. They offered to sit with me at lunch. And it was just, I was so nervous for nothing. That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I really do agree with Jessie that the strategies, at first I was like, why is everybody using this? Like, what is this? But I learned to use them outside of school for sometimes even emails that I'm writing, paragraph emails. So it was very helpful. And I do think Windward is super helpful. And I would just say, come in, smile, and you'll have so many friends.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. I'd like to believe we have a kinder, gentler, more open and welcoming space. Because as a school, like I said, we have 25% of our families are brand new every year. And that means 25% of our kids are brand new. So if we're thinking about it from that perspective, we have all this newness, and I do think our kids are so welcoming, and I so appreciate that you had 5 people on the stairs saying, who are you? How are you? What can we do? Let's hang out. Let's grab some lunch. Because I do think those little things, there's so much that make Windward special, in my opinion. One is our academic program is like unparalleled. And I have the good fortune of getting to know a lot of heads from a lot across the country who do similar work to our space. And I feel really confident saying that we are one of the best programs in the country, if not the best. Like, what we do is second to none. Our teachers are exceptional. Our kids show up. The gains that we get on the academic side are just so incredible. But I also think it's like the stuff that's around the student in this, like, your experience with having, teachers greet you when you come in, the idea of having people be friendly to you, the idea of having coaches who care about your growth and development in this and really bring a team together, the idea of like really having you think about why you're using a strategy, how the strategy is going to be effective long term, and how do we help you become more independent in the use of that strategy. All those things cycle into, I think, create what I would consider to be the full Windward experience. And I just have to tell you, I am so proud of the two of you. You are 2 incredible kids, and thank you for your leadership on Student Council. Thank you for everything you've done on behalf of Student Council and in service of the students here, and the partnership that you've brought to all your teachers. I know they are going to miss you, and it gives me a lot of pleasure here to have you on today and get a chance to share your stories and your journey here at Windward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Windward, I am actually so excited to have a conversation today with our Westchester Middle School Student Council President. So we have our 2 incredible folks here today. We have Clara Gaudelet and Stuart Ross here joining us. So welcome to the 2 of you.
Thank you.
So excited to have you on. As we get started today, I think one of the things that we're trying to do in this episode is really share to our current community, but also potentially new families, some of the really exciting and fun things that our students get to do here every year. So we've had folks talk about some of our academic programs, the WI. We've had conversations about technology. We've had conversations about our athletics program, and I'm actually super excited. You all are the first student guests we've had on the podcast. So, which is, I think, a little bit of a great distinction to have here. As we kind of get started today, my hope here is we can share a little bit about who the 2 of you are, because you've had a journey. You've both been here for a few years, and I'm really excited for you to share a little bit about the story of you arriving here at Windward. So let's start off with a conversation around what was school like before you got to Windward?
So before school, I didn't really like going to school because when I got there, I would usually get pulled into a separate classroom and redo the lesson I did earlier in the day, just with a few different students. Yeah. And I was just overall confused why that was happening, and I always was just always struggling at school.
Yeah. Thank you, Clara. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
I don't know if you know this, but I did not like school. I've talked about this with our new faculty when they come in. I didn't enjoy school for so many reasons. And I have friends who are like, you go and now you work in a school. But part of me, and I think the work that many folks here do is that we had an experience in school that wasn't great. We weren't seen, heard, valued, supported in lots of ways. And that actually drives some of us to show up and make sure that we are actually, really relating to kids and trying to find ways to make sure that you don't have that experience. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I'm so glad that you're here. So thank you, Clara.
Thank you so much.
So Stuart, I'd love to hear a little about your your journey before Windward.
Yeah, before I came to Windward, I did not like going to school, and everyone in my class, no one in my class, couldn't read, and I was the only one who couldn't. So I thought there was something wrong with me, and I didn't know what was going on until I got tested for dyslexia.
Yeah.
And started going to Windward.
Great. I'm so glad you're here. And I think that your experience about feeling like something's wrong is like something a lot of kids actually experience. And I love when kids get here because they realize it actually wasn't their issue at all. It was actually really an issue of how they're being taught. And so I really appreciate you sharing that. So we'll stick with you for a moment here, Stuart. As you think about, because you've been here since second grade, right? You've had a really wonderful long trajectory here at Windward. I'm guessing that there's some things that you're feeling kind of proud of in yourself that you've actually grown in. Is there one or two things that you're like, I can see myself growing in this way since I've been at Windward? What are one or two of those things?
Probably my confidence in like knowing that I can do my work now and that there's nothing wrong with me, and probably spelling and reading, because I could not read at all before, and now I actually like to read.
Yeah. And a little spelling action too, getting a little better in your spelling. Yeah. Do you do the Wordle on the Times?
Sometimes.
I feel like our kids are better at that than I am. So I love to see our kids using their strategies to solve those puzzles. So that's great. So Clara, can you tell us a little about some of the changes and some of the growth that you've seen in yourself since you've arrived at Windward?
Since Windward, I've noticed that I'm able to be more confident in the social aspect and the learning aspect because I just feel more comfortable here, and especially in the classroom, I'm able to write a sentence without struggling, and now we're up to writing essays, and I never thought I could.
Yeah, and I love that sort of growth and progression on the writing program. I think it's fantastic. We'll kind of stay with you for just a minute, Clara, because you are our student council president, which is so you're going to be speaking at graduation soon. Am I right?
Yes, I will.
Yeah. How are you feeling about that?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
I'm excited.
I think you're going to be incredible.
Thank you.
So the student council here is pretty active. We've got a really great faculty advisor, and you guys do some incredible work in the community. What's one thing that you've been really focused on this year?
This year we've done lots of charities and lots of fun events for our school. One of them was especially we have been doing breakfast sales for different charities like South Sudan, Water for South Sudan, then the California Wildflowers earlier in the year. Yeah. And then it was contributing to our class field trip at the end of the year.
So do you know where we're going on the class field trip? I think it's a pretty big one.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I'm excited for y'all to go. Yeah. Some of my favorite memories as an educator have been taking kids to the D.C. field trip. It's exhausting. It's so much, but it's so much fun. I love that city. It's a great capital city. So Stuart, how about you? Anything from a student council perspective that you're feeling really proud of that you've been working on this year?
My favorite thing was probably the Thanksgiving food drive at the Carver Center, because we got to go there in person and bring all the cans and the food to the pantry. Yeah. And it was really cool to see, but it was also kind of sad to see that some people have to go there, Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because this idea of community service and having the student council lean in that direction in a big way over the last few years has been really, I think, wonderful to see. We are lucky. I think there's so many aspects of our lives where we have this great school. We get to do such great work with kids. We also get to, I think part of our mission is to make sure that every dyslexic student in the greater area here has some access to the services, or has some where their teachers have access to the services that we have here. So this idea of giving back to the community is actually really important to us as a school program. And this idea of doing some community service and realizing that there are some folks who really need some help is a great way to kind of build a little empathy and compassion for your community, and to do some really great work. Because I know those families who are showing up at the Carver Center, I am sure, appreciated your efforts and energy in that space. So thank you both for that work and for your great leadership in student council as, on the whole, because I do think we've got a really great student council. I did come to some of the breakfasts, and I, tried to make sure I got a little breakfast sandwich on the days you were doing that. So let's maybe shift gears a little bit. So what year did you start, Clara? What was your first?
I started 5th grade.
5th grade. Okay, so you both had a fair amount of time here at Windward. And I would imagine in that work, you probably have a memory that really stands out to you. So what's been one of your favorite memories, Clara?
So my favorite memory is probably the first day of school I got here, because I was really scared because I didn't really want to leave my old school because I was there for 7 years before here. And so the first day of school, I was pretty nervous because being the new kid. And so I walked in, but then I felt really welcome just at the pickup line. And then I was shown to my homeroom, and this is where I met one of my best friends this day. She really helped me feel comfortable, and because we had some class together too, so she just showed me what Windward was about. And from then, I loved going to school every day. It was the first year I actually liked going to school.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you. I really appreciate you sharing that. I know our teachers do so much work to get ready for that first day and to make sure they're creating this amazing sort of community where you get to come into and feel really safe and seen and sort of embraced in that way. So I'm so glad you felt that, because there's a few magical days that we get to have as a school community. First day of school is still one of my favorites. I love the optimism of it. I love the feeling of what the possibilities of a new school year. So that's outstanding. Thank you. So Stuart, do you have a favorite Windward memory that you'd like to share?
My favorite Windward memory was probably joining the sports teams here, especially the volleyball team at first, because when I first came, I'd never played volleyball. Yeah. And the coaches are so nice, and they're very patient. Yeah. And everyone on the team was very nice about helping people learn, even if they had been doing it a lot longer. Yeah. And now it's my favorite sport. And right now I'm doing lacrosse. Okay. And I also love being a part of the teams at Windward because it's just a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm sitting here reflecting on the conversation we had with our student council presidents in Manhattan. And I love that there's so many threads that you both sort of pulled that they also pulled on, which is so beautiful to see. One of the memories was the first day of school and the idea of being really scared and seeing people show up and really support, and some of the friends they made on the first day are still our friends, right? Yeah. It's just really, really wonderful. And then another one was about sort of celebrating the athletics work and that being part of the team. And I'm so glad, Stuart, that you touched down on the idea that even if you haven't played as much as somebody else, the idea of that development and that skill focus that our coaches bring to it. I don't know if you had a chance to listen, but we actually had Miss Hunt and Mr. Smith on, who's the athletic director in the city, to really celebrate that idea of our student athletics program, because I feel so proud of it. We have so many undefeated banners. I know our girls lacrosse team have contributed to that, the volleyball team, our soccer teams. It's just really, really special, I think, what we do here. It's about growing talent and bringing that teamwork and that sportsmanship front and center. So thank you both for focusing on, and I just love that they were totally uncoordinated conversations, but threads that really kind of still pull through that. Being here since 2nd grade, being here since 5th grade, my guess is that you have some reflections on your time here that may sort of help a new student coming in. So Stuart, if you want to lead us off on this one, is there any advice you would give to a brand new student who's just showing up here at the door at Windward, maybe a little bit worried, maybe a little bit scared, but what advice would you give to a new student?
I would probably say to always advocate for yourself and participate in class, because I know when I first came here, I didn't want to participate because I thought that I was going to be judged for not getting things right, but I was at my old school. But when I came here, it's a lot different, and all the teachers are always happy to help you out when you need it.
That's wonderful, wonderful advice. Thank you. Because I do think self-advocacy, that's the thing that you're going to carry with you when you go off to whatever your next school is going to be. And when you're out in the workforce, the ability to speak up for yourself and sort of share what your needs are and what you need from someone is going to be such an important part of that. So I'm so glad you highlighted that. Clara, what do you have from an advice to a potential new student?
I would say probably just don't be scared to be just like brave on the first day and throughout your year really, because you're going to meet lots of new people coming in. Lots of people come in different years, so it's nice to also meet new people, be friends with new people, and same like what Stuart said, advocate for yourself and don't be afraid to raise your hand during class.
Yeah, excellent. So one, I can't begin to tell you how much I appreciate the conversation. I know it's not easy to show up in the head of school's office with some microphones in your face and have a conversation about your experience on student council, your experience prior to Windward, and share a little advice. So we only have about 6 weeks of school left, give or take a little bit. And we have some really fun events showing up. And the Westchester Middle School's field day, let's just be honest, absolute blast. Miss Hunt is like the hype woman of the century. She does such a great job, and I love like showing up for that. Are you two on the same team, or are you on competing teams?
We actually don't know yet.
Oh, you don't know yet?
Yeah.
Okay. You found out the team. So, well, I hope in your endeavors on that you can show up with some great sportsmanship and cheer each other on. And maybe you're on the same team and you can sort of, unite forces and sort of try to win again. Have you won any year that you've been here, your team?
I won last year.
Did you?
She did, yes.
We got a champion in the room. I love it. So what color were you guys last year? Was it purple?
It
was orange. The orange team won last year. The purple team were the ones before that, I believe, because they brought some energy on the opening.
They did, yeah.
So, but thank you all. I look forward to seeing you at Field Day, and I really look forward to seeing your graduation and seeing you walk across the stage with some real pride. And I can't wait to hear you speak at graduation. So, thank you both for being here. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.